Okay, resetters, we're going to dive into something very personal to me. I'm going to share something that I haven't really shared with people before, which are foods that I used to eat, 7 of them. I used to eat them all the time. Some of them are going to shock you, and I don't eat them anymore. And I want to tell you why, and I want to highlight some of these foods. Some of them are actually what would be considered health foods. Some of them are pretty obvious foods that many of you have given up. But I want to explain why I chose to give up these 7 foods, not because I didn't love the taste of them, but because what they did to my body and what I wanted to do with my health. I felt like I had to get rid of them if I wanted to keep my health in a good place. And you might find the same. So let's dive in. Okay, the first one, what do you think? I bet you can guess. I feel like I'm hearing you all. You can put it in the comments. But the first one that I don't eat anymore is wheat bread. I used to be a bread fanatic. And years ago, I'm 53 now, and when I was in my 20s, I had something called chronic fatigue syndrome, where my Epstein-Barr levels got really high. I couldn't get out of bed, and my body was just not recovering, and it was really difficult when you're in your early 20s. And so I actually ended up going to a holistic medical doctor at that point, and the first thing he did is pull me off of bread, all refined carbohydrates, but mostly off of bread. And within a couple of weeks of getting off of bread, my energy, my mental clarity started to come back. And because of that stark difference of getting off a food like bread and seeing that what it did to my own health, it made me never want to go back to wheat bread. And let me explain for those of you who go, oh, well, that's a nice story for you, Dr. Mindy, but what about me? Let me tell you some of my challenges with wheat bread. The first is the way that wheat is being grown, at least here in America, is that it's a new hybrid of wheat. And inside that wheat is a toxin called Bt toxin. And Bt toxin is made as a way to kill an insect when it comes to the wheat strand. If an insect goes in and starts to munch on the wheat kernel, that insect will die. So that's what Bt toxin is supposed to do, is it becomes a way of killing. It's like a pesticide, like a natural pesticide that is built within the wheat that we're growing right now in America. Other parts of the world may not be growing this new hybrid. But here's the challenge with Bt toxin, is it also kills the microbes in our gut. So when we eat meat, we're decimating our gut health. So that would be the first reason. The second reason that I don't eat wheat is because of glyphosate. So here's the deal with glyphosate, is that wheat is heavily sprayed with glyphosate. And glyphosate also kills the microbes in our gut. And glyphosate creates a leaky gut situation. And glyphosate goes up and pushes heavy metals deeper into our brains. So it's just not a worthy exchange. Don't get me wrong, I love the taste of wheat bread, but I'm not willing to change my gut microbiome. I'm not willing to have a leaky gut situation that tanks my energy. And I'm definitely not willing to drive heavy metals deeper into my brain, affecting my hormonal production and mental clarity. It's not a worthy exchange, in my opinion. And then if that doesn't convince you enough, one of the challenges we have with wheat bread, and this was actually some interesting studies that were done out of the Journal of Clinical Nutrition that showed that people who ate wheat bread actually ingested 400 more calories every day than people who didn't. And it was really centered around gluten. So it's more than just bread. It's anything with gluten in it, because gluten can be a stimulator of appetite. So there's just not, the way I look at the wheat bread, because I know this is a tough one to get off of, but the way I look at it is when you eat it, there's going to be 30 seconds to a minute of pleasure, of taste, but then you've got all these adverse reactions that happen that you're now going to have to deal with. So the way that I used it in my own mental thinking was, 30 seconds of pleasure for a day of not feeling great, not a worthy exchange. Okay, second one. This is like a behind the scenes of where I used to be nutritionally. Are you ready? Some of you may do this when you go to the movies. When you go to the movies, what do you eat? And it's not popcorn. We're going to talk about popcorn in a minute. I used to eat red licorice. I loved red licorice, which also has gluten in it, by the way. But that was my standard. I went to the movies. I had red licorice. Me and red licorice in the movies were hand in hand. But guess what? Not only do you have chemicals and red dyes in there, but lead. And you have gluten. Lead is in many of the commercial red licorices. And lead is a neurotoxin to the brain. Lead will throw your hormones off. Again, as a menopausal woman, I'm doing everything to preserve my hormones. So I had to give up red licorice. Wah, wah. It's kind of sad. Third one, kind of movie, still on the movie line, but it was more what I did at home, which is microwave popcorn. Now, this went all the way through like social media, I feel like, I don't know, 7 years ago. Like everybody was down on microwave popcorn. So if you missed the trend where everybody hated on microwave popcorn, let me tell you the challenges with microwave popcorn. And it's really with the bag. So the inner lining of the bag has what we call forever chemicals in it. And so when you put it in the microwave, you're heating up those forever chemicals and they're going into your popcorn and you're eating them. Forever chemicals are endocrine disruptors. They will throw your hormones off. There are plenty of ways to make great popcorn. Personally, I love popcorn. I'm going to let you in on a secret. I make organic popcorn at home. I usually put avocado oil in a pan, put the kernels in the pan, the organic kernels. I take grass-fed butter. I put that in a big pan. I usually take a whole stick of it, pop the popcorn, pour the butter on top, and then I put some sea salt on it, like Himalayan sea salt, and some coconut sugar. And I got the best kettle corn, healthy popcorn. My household is usually packed with a ton of teenagers, and let me tell you, this is teenager approved. And they absolutely love it. And it is almost a health food, and a totally different food than microwave popcorn, and about as easy to make. It is not that hard to make. So the third I got rid of was microwave popcorn and brought in my healthy, I'll call it kettle corn. Okay, fourth one. It was like Truth Day. This was me at 20. And it's not a food, it's a drink. And that was diet soda. I used to drink those big containers, like 4 or 5 of them a day of diet soda. And here's the challenge with diet soda. A lot of you have asked me, like, can I have diet soda in my fasting window? And the answer is no. Because NutraSweet is an appetite stimulant. So I can also tell you when I was drinking 4 or 5, ironically, 4 or 5 of these big diet sodas every day, I also was carrying 30 pounds more than I carry now. I also ate a lot more than I ate now. Now, there were other things I was doing at that time, but I can tell you that we go to diet soda and we think, oh, it's going to be less calories. I want to lose weight. I want to stay thin. But in reality, what you're doing is you're promoting appetite. And a lot of times the NutraSweet will throw off the microbiome, and your microbiome actually controls your blood sugar. And so if you don't have those good microbes to bring blood sugar down when you eat, you're going to end up with elevated blood sugar. So don't fall prey to the NutraSweet. Don't fall prey to the diet soda. Get it out, especially if you're trying to lose weight. Okay. Number 5. This is now we're going into the health foods. Number 5 is fish. Ugh, I hate to tell you this. So I'm going to give a little bit of the reason why I don't eat fish, and then I'll tell you when I do, because I still eat it a little bit, because fish is my absolute favorite. But unfortunately, our oceans are so polluted that many fish now have heavy metals in them. So some of the bigger ones, like hopefully you know that, like tuna and mercury, a lot of mercury in tuna. So as somebody who's detoxed a lot of heavy metals out of her body, someone who cares about her hormones, tuna's just not on my list. And I used to eat a can of tuna like every couple of days. Tuna fish sandwiches were my favorite. I'd order tuna out at restaurants. So tuna's not around in my life anymore. So we have to realize that there are certain levels, certain loads of heavy metals and plastics in our fish because our oceans are so polluted. This is a reason why we have to take care of our planet. Please, please, please. We have to prioritize taking care of our planet because we're affecting we're polluting areas that are affecting these foods that we love to eat. And fish is one of them. So I don't eat fish anymore because of the heavy metal load and the pollutants in them. I'll tell you one thing that when I say, well, I do eat it every once in a while, the Monterey Bay Aquarium, I live in Northern California. If you go to the Monterey Bay Aquarium's website, they actually have a list of the fish that are the least toxic compared to the ones that are the most toxic. So you can go and check out their website. I'll even leave a link in the notes here so you can see them. But yeah, there are some that have less pollutants and toxins in them than others. I often, when I'm out to a restaurant, I'll pull up that on my phone and remind myself which ones are going to be better and least toxic for me when I do want to eat fish. And I love fish, so it makes me sad to tell you that. Okay, number 6. This was one that I totally resisted. It's a drink again. Totally resisted. And then I became obsessed with it. And now I don't drink it anymore. And that is kombucha. Now, before you go, wait, what do you mean kombucha's bad? I'm not saying kombucha's bad. I'm saying that the upside of kombucha is it's just not there. Yes, it's a probiotic, but it is a very, very weak probiotic. And a lot of kombuchas have very high sugars. So when I drink a kombucha, or when I used to drink a kombucha a lot, I just noticed that my blood sugar would go up and I would find myself hungry within an hour after drinking it because as the blood sugar went up, then it crashed and then I all of a sudden became hungry again. I don't do it for a probiotic reason. Some of you might like it, and I've talked about how it can be kind of cool to break a fast with. It's just a weak probiotic. There's just not a lot there. And I don't really like the sugar content of it. So every once in a while I'll have it, but for the most part, I used to have one every single day. This was as little as like a couple of years ago, and now I'll have 1 or 2 a year. So don't have kombucha anymore. And then the last one, the 7th one, oh, I hate to tell you this too. The food industry, it's conventional fruit. Now, let me tell you where you might find conventional fruit. So apples and bananas are kind of the biggies that I used to just anywhere I went. If I saw an apple, I picked it up and ate it. Apple a day, kept the doctor away. Not anymore. Because what we know about conventional fruit is most of it's genetically modified. And in the genetic modification process, the vitamins and minerals are just not there. It is a dead food. So now I will eat fruit from a regenerative farm. I go to my farmer's market. I have this incredible place that has these Newton apples that are just to die for. They come in the fall. So I have an apple tree at home. I'll eat that. But if I'm out, sometimes when you go to like a hotel and they'll have a basket of fruit, or you go somewhere there's a basket of fruit, I won't eat it. If I'm at a restaurant that has fruit as an option, won't eat it because it's dead food. There's nothing of benefit in there. You're not getting the nutrients. I'm sorry to report that, but unfortunately that's what big food has done, is they're more interested in profits than nutritional content. So sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but let me know. I want to know in the comments here which one of those 7 you're still eating that you might be getting rid of now that you've watched this video, or some of you that maybe were listening to these 7 and you're like, yeah, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. I want to hear your story because, again, I can't be the only one who has given these foods up because I just decided they don't benefit my health anymore. And again, everything I'm trying to bring you is to help you make the decision that's right for you. These were the 7 that I found right for me, and you may like that or not like it. But for where I want to go with my health, these 7 don't fit in anymore. Okay, where are my gals that are struggling with hormonal imbalance? Bloated, feeling like you're not making progress with weight loss? You need to add these foods in so that you can support better hormonal health. There is a lifestyle that estrogen wants you to live, and there's a lifestyle that progesterone wants you to live.